Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our opening Impact Series concert, Beethoven and Beyond. We are so thrilled to see so many of you here today to share in this celebration of great chamber music, and I just want to say a few words before we begin. First, we want to thank the North Carolina Arts Council for the Spark the Arts grant that is funding our program today. This is the first time that NCCMI has received a grant from the state of North Carolina. We're so proud and grateful for their support. We also want to thank Church of the Nativity for the use of this beautiful space and recognize organist choir director Bradley Burgess, who is in the audience today. Please take a moment to read the names of the many organizations and individuals who support NCCMI in the program, and help us to recognize all of these generous contributors with a round of applause. NCCMI relies upon the support of our community for our program of chamber music education, including master classes, workshops, performances, and other events, as well as essential financial aid for our young artists. To add your support, scan the QR code on the back of the program with your phone to easily access the donation page of our website. Last year, our performers performed for over 8,000 people throughout the Triangle area. Some of our upcoming events are listed on the back of the program, but many more are listed on our website calendar page, so please make sure you visit that website. All of these events are free and most are open to the general public. This concert will be streamed on the NCCMI YouTube channel on November 7th at 6 p.m. There will be bonus material, including a special introduction by our featured young composer. So be sure to let others know about this free encore presentation. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our performers for this afternoon to begin the concert.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our concert today. I'm Elizabeth Beelman, Executive Director of NCCMI, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to my colleagues for the opening work, pianist Dr. Kent Lyman and our violinist Jessica Ryu and Chi Kao. Welcome them with me. Kent has actually been with NCCMI from our founding year, and Jessica and she have only recently joined the staff, but playing with them has truly been an honor and a joy. And that's your reminder to please silence all your cell phones and devices, please, at this time. Today I'm excited to serve as your tour guide in a program of very interesting and diverse chamber music. I thought that I'd start by talking about chamber music in general. After all, NCCMI is an educational program, and it is our mission to spread the joy of chamber music throughout the community. Those of us in the professional chamber music world and the classical world in general have an innate understanding of the joys of chamber music, really. Mention chamber music to any professional musician and you will get a response like, "I just love chamber music." And why is that? And why is it that we understand that so well, but maybe the casual concert goer does not? Well, if you think about it, you're someone who goes to concerts, you probably realize that so much great music was written for chamber music. For instance, Beethoven wrote many string quartets, right? So we know the great composers thought it was a great form to write their music in. And you also probably have realized that people like Yo-Yo Ma play a lot of chamber music, even though they probably don't have to make the paycheck. So what's it all about? Why do we do this? Well, first of all, this affection for chamber music springs from the experience of doing it. I want you to imagine that you're a young player. Some of you are young players here today, just learning your instrument. And there are hours spent practicing on your own, followed by short, intense lessons with your private or class music teacher. It can be pretty lonely for a young musician. But once you get more comfortable playing, you will probably join a community or perhaps a youth orchestra of some kind. That will be fun because you will start to see how your part fits in to a bigger sound world to create something amazing and awe-inspiring. But for most players, there is still something missing in this equation. The conductor is leading the whole ensemble, driving the train, as it were, and he might be wonderful, or she might be wonderfully inspiring to the musicians, but it can become all too easy to sit back and just be a passenger on that train. So then the first time you play chamber music, it is a shock. Yeah, I mean, you start to wonder, how can I help to move this thing along? How does my part fit in? And why is it that the other musicians are not playing with me? But after a while, you realize that you and your friends are discovering and then revealing the treasures found in the music together. All of a sudden, that lonely discipline of classical training opens up into a world of shared discovery. From then on, musicians just want to keep on doing it. To our students here today, we know you are already becoming immersed in the musical language of chamber music, and we are so happy for you as you embark on this journey. To those in the audience who are not classical musicians or students, we hope you enjoyed today's program. And now I want to just say a few words about our opening piece by Friedrich Seitz. Those of you who are violinists in the audience might know this name. He's a well-known composer of violin concertos, in particular concertos in the Suzuki books, right? So you might have come across some of his works there. He was really quite an amazing musician and a composer, and he wrote these pieces for piano quartet in a kind of a slightly different instrumentation. Usually a piano quartet is a violin, a viola, a cello, and a piano. Well, Seitz probably taught chamber music to his students. He probably knew that then as now, violists can be in short supply. And he wanted his musicians to be able to have the experience of playing chamber music with a piano. So he wrote these wonderful pieces that have not been recorded, to my knowledge, professionally. Many of our students have been assigned this quartet and another one that Seitz wrote. And so we thought it would be really fun to give them a professional recording. Fingers crossed here. So let's get started with this. This is the Seitz Piano Quartet. We know you'll enjoy all four movements of the work. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Quentin Blosh, and I am a composer and cellist currently living in Los Angeles, California, where I'm a senior at the University of Southern California Thornton School of Music. I'm originally from Wake Forest, North Carolina, and was a member of NCCMI in high school. I'm super excited to have my piano trio Afloat perform for this upcoming Beethoven and Beyond Faculty Artist Concert. When Ms. Billman approached me around this time last year to write a piece for NCCMI, I was super excited and super eager to get to work. I feel like my experience being a cellist and playing a lot of chamber music has helped my compositional voice as I've had a closer look on how instruments communicate with one another, how the lines sort of go about each other, and I feel like it really has benefited me and my compositional voice. I think also being both a cellist and composer has allowed me to really keep in touch with not only the performance world but the composition world, and I find a lot of crossover in both, and feel like it definitely helps me out when I know people from both sides of the industry, the classical music industry. I'm super excited again, and thanks so much to Ms. Bielman and NCCMI for putting this together. Hope you enjoy Afloat.
Before we play our next piece, I wanted to thank the North Carolina Arts Council. As Walty mentioned, their Spark the Arts grant supporting this concert and our Complete Impact series is making a huge difference for our organization. This series of concerts highlights a diversity of expression, showcasing works from the traditional repertoire, as you will hear Beethoven later on, new pieces by local composers like the Bloch, and works by those whose voices were less heard or suppressed in the past, including women composers and composers of color. We are so grateful to the NC Arts Council for their visionary work in support of the arts. Joining me in our next piece are my colleagues in the Aurora Musicalis String Quartet, Amy Mason, Aaron Zangut, and Emily Glover. Please help me welcome them. As a young woman, our next composer changed her last name from Talafes to Taillefer. She did this despite her father, who had refused to support her musical training. Living a long and interesting life, Germaine Taillefer studied piano first at home with her mother, and then she attended the Paris Conservatory. From 1917 to 1919, she composed this string quartet, after which she was invited to join a group that later became very famous called Les Six, or the Six. This consisted of composers who pushed the boundaries of music beyond the influence of Richard Wagner and Impressionism. These were among the most prominent French musicians of her day, including Darius Milhaud and Francis Poulenc. Taillefer was the only female member of the group. Throughout her life, she continued to compose, including ballets, film scores, concertos, and more. But much of her music was not published until after her death. We love this piece for its very colorful imagery and the amazing harmonies. The first movement is a delicate and slightly melancholy opening to the piece. The second movement is marked intermed or intermezzo. It's scherzo-like in character. That means it has a little joke-like character. It's sort of sprightly and fast. The third movement is based upon a saltarello rhythm. Saltarello was an Italian dance, and you'll hear that feeling of two dancing beats in that movement. This movement is full of twists and turns, and it really shows Taillefer at her inventive best. So we hope you enjoy this Taillefer string quartet. on to the meat on the program, so to speak. The Beethoven String Quartet number 10 in E-flat major, known as the Harp Quartet. Beethoven's quartets are divided frequently into 3 main periods, and this work lands squarely in the middle. It was written after the Fifth Symphony, and you can definitely see some similarities here. The first movement begins with a slow introduction that leads to a strong and resolute sounding allegro section. You will hear places where we play in alternating pairs of pizzicato or plucked notes. These arpeggios are reminiscent of a harp, hence the nickname given to the piece. Near the end of the movement, Emily has a long cadenza-like passage that ends in a triumphant flourish. The second movement is marked Adagio ma non troppo. It's in rondo form. That means that the sweet melodic opening material keeps returning in various elaborated settings, in alternation with contrasting sections. The third movement, Presto, is a very energetic scherzo. Unlike most scherzos that are joke-like in nature, this one is very serious and even perhaps dark in character. Listen to the initial 4-note rhythmic motif in that third movement, and you might notice a parallel to the opening of the Fifth Symphony. The scherzo keeps returning, but the last time the material is presented very quietly, that leads directly to the last movement, which is a theme and variations. Like other of Beethoven's theme and variations movements, he uses a deceptively simple tune as the basis for his variations. They feature various instruments and mood transformations. It's really a delight to play and to listen to. And the final coda leads inevitably to an exciting finish. We really love playing this piece and have loved playing for all of you today. We thank you so much for coming to this concert. We also want to say thank you to our volunteers, including our interns, adult volunteers. We have photographers here, and we really appreciate your help in bringing off this concert. We hope to see all of you at our future Impact Series concerts. The next one will be on Martin Luther King Day in the evening. That's going to be curated by one of the members of our faculty, Dr. Timothy Hawley. And then the next concert will be on February 12th, and it will feature music about love in honor of Valentine's Day. So thank you so much for joining us today, and enjoy your last piece. Thank you.